Islamic nations around the world are mute spectators to the persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China-occupied Xinjiang. However, Islamist organizations in such countries are increasingly turning against the CCP, giving rise to anti-China sentiments in such countries. If such organizations continue down the path of seeing China as an oppressive country where Muslims are not safe, Islamic countries will have no option but to overhaul their foreign policy against Beijing. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Sanbir Singh, and in this video we will talk about how the Islamic world might just be at the cusp of leading a global anti-China campaign. The criticism of Beijing for institutionalized genocide of the Uyghur Muslims has been spectacularly muted in the Islamic states. These messiahs of the Muslim world have supported China where they should have criticized it. Thus, anguished over the failures of their governments to support the Uyghur Muslims and to protect the sovereignty of their state from China's expansionism, Islamist organizations have banded together and declared China an enemy. Beijing's treatment of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang is the largest cited concern about China's global jihadist discourse, but more narratives are emerging about China's external policy and its rising presence in the Islamic world. In pursuing its geopolitical goals and ensuring its rising international interests, Beijing is becoming significantly more committed, and that has raised several concerns among the Islamist groups, which now see China as an enemy. Explicitly, the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, the Islamic Group of Turkestan, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and others have declared China an enemy. These groups view China as an imperial or colonial power which extends its political, economic, and military influence abroad, fosters authoritarian governments, and utilizes natural resources. Many Islamist organizations have become more explicit in opposing Chinese policies in recent years and are threatening China. The apparent anti-China rhetoric emphasizes more now on Chinese policies in the Islamic region rather than on Uyghurs, signaling a shift that China's expansionist policies such as the BRI are not welcome any longer. The threat from the Islamists is real in Islamic countries. They have threatened China over Xinjiang and its foreign policies, and there is a real intent behind the rhetoric. Militants have targeted many nationals in several countries. The Turkestan Islamic Party, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the Islamic State, and others have explicitly declared China an enemy and have conducted operations against Chinese nationals. In Pakistan, there is a lengthy record of Islamist groups as well as Sindhi and Baloch militants attacking Chinese citizens. BRI projects in Pakistan have already been a repeated target of the Islamists. The Chinese government has repeatedly warned and expressed displeasure due to the attacks on Chinese assets in Pakistan. Baloch and Sindhi separatist groups in Pakistan announced that they were aligned with the aim of attacking the Belt and Road Initiative projects and Chinese interests in Pakistan, thereby increasing China's security costs. Chinese nationals have also been killed in neighboring Afghanistan. In 2016, researchers linked suicide car bombing at the Chinese embassy in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan to an activist network operating in Syria. This was not the first time that a Chinese embassy was attacked. In 2013, a mortar fire struck a Chinese embassy in Syria, and in 2015, an explosion struck a Chinese embassy in Somalia. A Chinese hostage in Syria was executed by the Islamic State in 2015, and 2 Chinese nationals in Pakistan were murdered by IS operatives. The counter-extremism group reported in January 2020 the conspiracy of 7 terrorist suspects was broken up when they were taken into custody in Brest, northwest France, allegedly targeting a French military establishment and Chinese New Year's celebrations in Brest. The report added that this cell was supposed to be a party to ISIS. Islamist organizations such as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Turkestan's Muslim Party, and the Muslim State expressly referred to the Belt and Road Initiative as an imperialist tradition. China is accused of acting as an aggressor, of having imperialist ambitions, and supporting what Islamists see in countries like Pakistan, Myanmar, and Syria as repressive governments. Moreover, in countries like Pakistan and Turkey, the Uyghurs have now become radically active against atrocities against Muslims. The public anger against China and Pakistan over the persecution of Uyghur Muslims has gradually started to catch up. In January last year, Chinese companies had banned their employees in Pakistan from praying, after which many of Pakistan's clerics and leaders had raised their voices against China. At the same time, leaders of opposition parties in Turkey last year accused the leaders sitting in Ankara of secretly selling the Uyghurs to China in lieu of the coronavirus vaccine. Clearly, when global Islamic organizations have declared China as their new enemy, China may face problems with Islamic nations as well. China has already been entangled in geopolitical tensions with countries like India, the US, and Japan. However, the way Islamist organizations have now declared war against China is evident in their escalating tensions with Beijing.